what are the prospects for the European Union looking ahead?
Yeah, we will be seeing the election in France and in Germany, and that's quite, I would not try to predict anything, because when we predicted Brexit, it happened differently the predictions about the outcome of the last US election. People who tend to vote for that, yes, do not tend, it's not that we just all got everything wrong, but it's like, okay, people also, when they make this radical, let's say radical decision for radical parties, they do not tell this in any survey, so you do not really know. There is a chance that Madame Le Pen becomes president of France. This would mean the end of the European Union as we know it. It would also maybe also mean the end of NATO, but France wasn't always part of NATO, so maybe that.
Well, let's take that apart. So if that outcome were to happen and France were to go the way of the UK and leave the European Union or make moves toward that, what would that mean for European security?
The point is like this, what we created is like a common sphere of trade and free movement of goods and persons and stuff. We have also free education. So we created a bigger space where we can combat better like the challenges coming from, let's say, China or India. And the same goes for security and all other measures. I mean, if you are a country in the mountains like Switzerland or Austria, you don't have a navy. But if you are like a country with a sea, you don't have like the people who work as soldiers in the mountains. So you have huge potential to, and we did this on a regular base where the secret services work together. So I think to be working together could always be a surplus for security, because what we all share as knowledge is, you can make better use of it.
My understanding of the European Union experiment is that it really went beyond what you're talking about, and international cooperation in the economic and intelligence or security sphere, that there was an acknowledgement of shared morality, that the EU was a moral entity. Is that dead?
That's interesting to say that, because this never again narrative, like after the Second World War and the Shoah, triggered this. And I think you need these shocking moments, unfortunately, to just come up with something that tries to outshine this this cruelty. And I think the European Union, in fact, was like founded on this never again after the Second World War and the Shoah. And actually, I think the whole Western project runs on that. And having said that, all our global institutions today run on that, subconsciously or consciously, about like saying we do not want to have. Also, the United Nations run on that. We do not want to have a repetition of genocides like what the Nazis did to the Jews, or and that's something we're totally right. There has been a moral narrative. The other side of that coin was also that through upholding such an order, we also guarantee welfare of the people. And this has been true for a long time, but it is not true like these days, let's say in Spain or Italy, where you have half of a young cohort unemployed. So, these people may not just start the next genocide, but they may question the whole authority or the legitimization of the European Union as this sort of entity. But you're totally right. I'd say that the narrative of the moral imperative of the European Union needs to be reinvigorated, especially for the Second World War. Now it's more than 70 years passed by. So of course you have to still go on and informing that the whole need of the enterprise is not to have a lean administration. It's about to prevent nations who went on war for centuries again and again to not do this again. So if that means that a tiny country and a big country share the same amount of seats and the same voice, so by this you create like a huge administration, so be it. Because when we were all enlightened and inspired by humanism, and all Christians, we fought the most horrible wars. So obviously this did not work out in terms of identity to prevent us from doing evils to us. But now, the last 70 years, and this is why I'm quite staunch about that, it's good that the European Union received the Peace Nobel Prize. This entity, for better or worse, in administration or whatever downsides this may have, has established an order in which nations who went over war on religion and borders and ethnicity and whatever, stopped that. And I think this is something, and this happened through a shared set of values.